Monday morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is 17th of February and in this educational video there's no recommendation or advice whatsoever in it. We'll start with Apple today that has made an interesting recovery, massive comeback I would say, after being knocked down and after this bearish candle here where the sellers really took control from the beginning here late January. Massive comeback here now. And we are now in the cloud here. We are above the 55 moving average, and more interestingly, we are above the 60 threshold on the RSI, indicating we could push higher. And if it takes out the that candle, the peak of that candle, and we can add that one to it, there we have it, 247.19. A close above that, that will cancel it, and we will establish a bullish trend. So that is really key to watch out for the next few days. Can it actually resume uptrend? Moving on to the main indices, we have S&P500 that broke above its falling trend line. And did it also make a new all-time high? Just about maybe, or not, but it did test it here. And that will be key here the next few days. Will it break higher? I think it will, because this was, it wasn't even the highest close. The highest close was over here, but we're still in a positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels. There's a little bit, maybe, could be building up divergence, but I don't think so. If we get a higher close, then we'll have a potential up above 6,200. And the Nasdaq 100, bullish trends, post higher here Friday, about 22,000. There's potential higher here the next couple of days. Target, I don't know, and target are not that important. It is about the trend, and it is about the stop, and the stop is down here 20,974. But if it slides back below 21,500, then we could be in a danger. So I will actually move it up here. If I was long Nasdaq, I would put my stop there 454. And the Dow Jones index struggling a little bit. It really needs to take out that top there. And let's just add a horizontal line to that also. So we see that will be key, 45,055. If it takes out that, then we'll push to 46,000. But struggling a little bit at the moment. In Europe, we also pushed higher last week, but Friday was a little bit of a breather. We had this doji-like pattern here, doji pattern. It could be a top reversal. There's no divergence on the RSI, still positive sentiment, so we could push higher despite possibly seeing a little bit of correction. So let's see the next couple of days, but keep an eye on it. Then we are very toppish at the moment, but there's still potential higher because there's no divergence on the RSI. On the DAX, same picture really, also took a little bit dip Friday. If it starts closing this gap here down to 22,184, well, then we could see a larger correction down to around 21,500, 21,250. Euro dollar Friday continues its uptrend here that it established Thursday evening. Could push to 105.35. Could test that. We are now in a positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels, but how high, that is the key. Could it get up to the 106.30 maybe even, but it will be a little bit of a struggle with the 100 moving average coming down there, kind of putting a lid on it. If it starts sliding back below 104.40 and 104, then the downtrend could resume, so keep an eye on that. Sterling dollar testing 126 at the moment, hovering around that level, spiked above Friday, and still trying this morning. Positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating that we could see it higher, and could it get actually above the 100 moving average, that kind of put a lid on in here. There could be potential to 127.5, 128. If it's being rejected and slides back below 125 and below the 55 moving average, then the 123.60 support could come under pressure. Euro sterling, well, still in this range here around 83, 83.5, dancing sideways below the cloud. We are in a negative sentiment on the RSI, indicating it will likely to slide lower. It really needs to get back above 84 level to establish a bullish trend. Dollar yen got rejected here at the 55 moving average, and the 21 also couldn't get back above it, and couldn't even get above 156 and not even 155. It's a sign of weakness. Negative sentiment on the RSI, no divergence. I think we could test these support here around 150.85 level. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 148.60, 65 support down here, possibly 147.5. To really change this picture, a push above 154.80 is required, and then we still have the resistance there at 156. The euro yen also turned the weaker side after being rejected at the 55 moving average and the 61.8 retracement there at 160.84. Could resume downtrend, and we are in a negative sentiment already, so it seems like we are resuming downtrend. There could be some supports on the way, and that we can use the Fibonacci levels just to give us a little bit of guidance and say currently we are out at 38.2 retracement. Next one is likely to be at the 61.8 at 157.72. The Aussie yen also rejected at the 55 moving average and the 61.8 here, just above the 97 level. If it takes out 95, 96 and 95 and 95, I will say, then downtrend is resuming with a push lower towards 94.93. Sterling yen also rejected here just below the 61.8 retracement, and is likely to resume downtrend. Also could be accelerated if we drop below 190. Negative sentiment on the RSI indicating that we are in that direction. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see actually, well, it got some support here at the 100 weekly moving average, but it could retest that level. Aussie dollar, well, Friday towards the end of the close, Aussie dollar broke above resistance at 63.30-35, and has now established some little short-term bullish trend with positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating we could see a push up to around 64 and a quarter, with this 138.2 projection of this move here. Projected up here, and we have the 100 moving average coming down, that will kind of putting a lid on, but I think we'll get up there and then maybe being knocked down again. Key question, will can it actually push higher? If it can push above it, well, then we're looking at 65 and a half. If it starts sliding lower and below the 63 and 62, 62.75 here, well, then downtrend could resume and the uptrend has been cancelled. Dollar Canada, support at 141.20, and the 100 moving average also coming up, giving some support here, and we can see just at the lower part of the cloud also. So some strong resistance, support here. Negative sentiment on the RSI below 40 threshold, indicating we could see a push lower. So keep an eye if it starts pushing below these levels there for dollar Canada. Sterling Canada, well, a strong bounce, trading around the 38.2 retracement and the 155 moving average. So let's just do this so we can see a little bit better. So what can it do? Will it be rejected? If it starts sliding back lower here below the cloud, again below 178, then I think we'll see a push lower. But if it can take out the spike from the peak from today, just above 179, well, then I think we'll see a push up to 180. Euro Swiss, let's just zoom a little bit. Euro Swiss, well, got rejected there at the resistance here at 95.17.20 area. Closed back below the 200 moving average for several days in a row, and seems caught range bound between the 95.20 and 93.30. Wide range, I know, but that's how it is at the moment, and we need to see a break either to the upside or to the downside for real direction. Dollar Swiss, well, below the rising trend line there, testing the 89.65 minor support, could drop to the 89.15 stronger support, where we also have the cloud giving some support, and the 100 moving average coming up giving some support. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, however. Let's remove this one. If it closes below 40 threshold, then we could see a push lower, also below 89. If it can bounce to get back above the rising trend line there, it could resume uptrend. And on the dollar index currently testing, or Friday it did test, and it could do it again today. The support here at 106.42, the 100 moving average coming up, that will add to the support. For now, it seems like we are bouncing off. If it takes out that level, well, then we are looking at other supports, and we have a little bit of support down here at 105.40, possibly lower, but you can see these tops here, and these. So this is around the 105.35, 105.40 support area. Negative sentiment on the RSI indicating lower levels. Could we get a correction in gold? It is definitely not unlikely. I started warming up for it last week, and with the sell-off there Friday, where it failed to take out the previous peak, then it is definitely in the cards. However, I think there's no divergence on the RSI, or very just slightly, but you can see here RSI testing its rising trend line. If gold breaks below 2,864, we could see a push down to 2,805, which is 38.2 correction of the entire uptrend here, which is not unlikely to see that. Will it push lower than that? Well, can it get all the way down to 27.30? I'm not going to say it will do that, but keep an eye on what's going on if it takes out the support there and the 2800. If it takes out the peak here at 29.43, well, then we are looking at 3,000. Silver collapsed, spiked higher Friday, really strong move. We talked about it, that if it could stay up there, that it could push above 34 to 35, but it couldn't stay up there and collapsed again back below 32, 35, and that is a bit of a sign of weakness. So I think maybe we could slide lower here in the coming days towards 31 level. Copper also in a correction phase after a really strong spike higher to 483 and a change. 483 and a change. We had this then the sell-off, and a little bit of support here at 458, but could drop all the way down to 446. However, long term I'm still quite bullish. Medium to long term still quite bullish on copper, but it failed to close above 470. That is a sign of weakness. It spiked higher. Still positive sentiment on the RSI on the weekly. No divergence, indicating likely higher levels in the coming months, but it will not be without volatility, and it will not be without big corrections. On the energy side and WTI, sorry, that was Brent. Let's just look at WTI crude oil. Continuing bearish trend below the cloud, negative sentiment on the RSI. We could see a push lower, potentially down to the 66, 67 level, but there is a little bit of support here around these levels here, around 68.5, 69. That could be there first, but for now, if we are in a bearish trend. However, it needs to get back above 75.15 to really establish a bullish trend. Brent crude still holding on above its support here at 74.10 area. You see tested several times, spiked a little bit below there, I think, yes, and bouncing off this morning. So that is, we seems to be at an inflicting point here at the moment. Down sideways out from the up of the cloud, but that's how it is. If it takes out the lows here once again, if it takes out 74, then we're looking at 72 and 70 level. However, if it can get back above 77.50, well, then it could establish a bullish trend. The massive correction in Dutch TTF or European gas last week, I think it's over. It's spiked lower, just below the 61.8 retracement, and almost to touch the 55 moving average. I think we will see a bounce now here the next coming days this week, taking it back to the 55 level possibly. However, if it takes out the lows there from the 14th, from Friday, then we're looking at 46.60, possibly lower. But I think we will see a bounce because we are still in a bullish trend on the medium term. The US and NatGas Henry Hub that spiked to the 61.8 retracement, sliding back a little bit. Failed to close above the RSI 60 threshold. It needs to do that to get further upside potential. American consumers will not be happy about this, so let's see if it can actually do that. But it did close above the cloud, so a little bit of strength there, but keep an eye on, will it close above 60 threshold now? And it will do that if it takes out and closes above the Friday peak. Treasury yields, US Treasury yields, massive volatility lately, got rejected there at 465 resistance, knocked back all the way back down below the 450, trying to get back up again. If it succeeds and get back above the cloud area and up in this range here around 460, we could have another go at the resistance here at 465. And resuming uptrend, that would really establish our uptrend. If it takes out 440, well, then we're looking at 430 and possibly lower. So really some interesting days ahead there, I think. The 2-year closed above 430 last week and spiked almost all the way up to 440. But now we are back below 430. So we are in a bullish trend, higher highs and higher lows, positive sentiment on the RSI indicating we are likely to push higher. But for now, it has set back a little bit. So keep an eye on that. 415 is key support, but if it starts sliding lower below the 55 moving average here, currently at 423, well, then it could come under pressure. Looking at the European yields and the EU, the 10-year pushing higher here this morning, and excuse me, pushing higher here this morning, testing the 250, very close to testing 250 level. If it takes out 250, then we're looking at 255, possibly higher. If it takes out that spike down there, that bearish candle there at 240, well, then it could test these lows here again, 235, 232. The UK 10-year, well, opening higher this morning, 459, 460, I would say. If it moves above that, well, then we are looking at 470 and possibly higher. Finally, on crypto and Bitcoin, really not doing much, trading sideways the past almost 2 weeks now. And the same with Ethereum, that we're going to look at in a minute. I will look out for a break of this triangle-like pattern, these trend lines here. I'm not quite sure it will be a triangle pattern, but let's see. There are some indications, and it really needs to break out for direction. Ethereum seems to have found a base here around 26, 2700, spiking up to 28. If it can take out 2800, well, then we're looking at 3000 again. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Talk to you again later.